Greetings, R. Frederick Riddle here with another episode of Christian News and Views. This is episode 26, 28. This is also Wednesday, and today's article that I'm going to be discussing refers to what I titled Gay Flag Removal. The Trump administration has removed an LGBTQ pride flag from the Stonewall National Monument in New York City, the United States' first national monument to LGBTQ rights, following a directive restricting what kinds of flags can be flown on national park sites. The removal is the latest change to the monument as the administration moves to alter what is on display at national parks across the country and impose President Donald Trump's views on other U.S. cultural and historical institutions. Local leaders have slammed the administration's move, with New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani saying he was outraged by the removal. New York is the birthplace of the modern LGBTQ plus rights movement, and no act of erasure will ever change or silence that history, he said in a post on X on Tuesday. Manhattan Borough President Brad Hoylman-Sigal told CNN it's part of the Trump administration's attempt to reshape the Park Service in a manner that conforms with his right-wing base of support, excluding minority groups and LGBTQ people. Hoylman-Sigal said he was working to raise the flag again at the site of the federal monument on Thursday, despite the new federal guidance. We're just going to try to fly it again. It may be taken down. We may be blocked from even doing so. There may be federal officers preventing us, but we certainly are going to try in the spirit of Stonewall, he added. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer of New York called the flag to removal deeply outrageous, adding in a post on X, "If there's one thing I know about this latest attempt to rewrite history, stoke division and discrimination and erase our community pride, it's this: that flag will return. New Yorkers will see to it." So this is a sad state of affairs. But first, let me start out by saying that no one is trying to erase history, even when it's a shameful history. History is history. But this is a federal monument, not a city monument. And this is not a whim of the president, but it is in line with the majority of Americans, whether they be conservative or independent. That's where the majority lies. Now, you'll hear different from the media. They say that the left-leaning media will tell you that that's not true. They continue to promote their immoral and anti-American agenda. This includes their so-called polls showing Trump's popularity declining. The fact is, he is still popular, and while quoting fake polls that are primarily taken of left-leaning participants, this helps keep them afloat, the news media. But they're not fooling the average American. The average American understands that you can get whatever kind of poll you want, depending upon how you structure the poll and who you include in it. Typically, these polls are made up of primarily left-leaning participants. Now, they may include a few right-leaning participants, and maybe even a few independents. But the vast majority are people who I have identified as being to the left. And so that's their pool that they go to, they take their polls of. This has been demonstrated over and over again. And this is why when Trump wins, it's always a surprise to them. Because after you've been lying so long, you tend to believe your own lie. And so when the election takes place and it doesn't turn out the way they want it, wow. But on the other hand, if they do win and it doesn't turn out the way we expect it, and we're not appreciative of it, they ridicule us, but they don't ridicule themselves for the same thing. It's It's just they are willing to um, they're willing to disregard basically half the nation as they did in previous elections. Uh, but the fact is, we are not the people going out there and trying to uh, fake those things. Uh, the, uh, the left just has a totally leftist, I'll just say that, leftist viewpoint that just skews everything that they talk about. I do find it interesting, however, that when I talk to New Yorkers, I'm down here in Florida, and they come down here to visit, not visit me, but to visit the state and spend some time down here. Every once in a while, I run into them. And I find it interesting that when I do talk to New Yorkers, that is, people from the state of New York, they are quick to divorce themselves from the city of New York. It's New York City. New York City is free to put up their own gay flags. It is a city that has already lost most of any claim of importance or relevance. Personally, although I once had an enjoyable vacation in that city, I now see the city being in the backwaters of history. It was once a great city. It was once uh, a city that all of America could be proud of. But now it's only a big and wealthy city with a moral decay eating at its insides. And that's why I say it is sad. Because speaking as an American and looking at the overall history, New York played a very powerful and rich role in this country when it got started and down through the years. Now the only role they are playing is to be on the wrong side of history. They're one of these sanctuary cities, which is stupid, giving criminals sanctuary. It's not only stupid, it's I believe it's unconstitutional. But in any case, it's stupid. And it was once moral. It was once strong. It was once rich. Well, it's still rich. And it was once the home of patriots. You might ask yourself, well, can it be turned around? Well, yeah, it would be nice if I could say yes. I can say I hope so, but it may be well past that. Um, sort of the crossing the Rubicon idea. It may have gone too far. In the last mayoral election, they elected a man that is anything but a conservative American. And um, I don't know that much about him. Not interested in finding out anything about him, to be honest. Um, but he is a detriment, but he's didn't bring the city to where it is. The city is already there, and then they elected him. And that's almost like them sticking their noses up in the air and saying, we don't want to have anything to do with America. And so they're going to go their own way. And apparently, the LGBTQ community has a lot of influence there. And it's going to go that way, their way. And that is not only sad, it's tragic. And it may be a pitfall that they are falling into that they can never get back out of. I don't know. I would like to be able to say they can, but there's no sign at this point in time that they even want to. They have embraced liberalism like a dying man embraces death. And what I mean by that is some people, not all, maybe I'll say even not even the majority of people, when facing death, embrace it. Now, some people look at death as relief because of the pressures, physical things of this nature. But if they understand what the Bible talks about death, if they don't know Jesus Christ as their Savior, then they're falling from what they call the pot into the frying pan. It's going to be worse, not better. And so there's many people who have died thinking they rejected Christ. And now they're suffering all sorts of ailments and things of this nature. And so they embrace death. And when they succeed in achieving that death, they are disappointed. I'll say this one thing: there's nobody who's in hell who doesn't believe that Jesus Christ is God, the Son of God, and they died for all mankind. The problem is they came to that conclusion after they died, and where they are now, suffering in an intense and horrible uh, existence that will continue forever. So yeah, they believe, like the man who died and woke up in the book of Luke, and he woke up and found himself in hell. And he looked across back then. That was there was hell, and then there was paradise just across a gulf. And he looked across and he saw Lazarus. He wanted Lazarus to come over. He wanted Lazarus to come and bring just a drop of water. Well, it didn't happen. It was too late. God to send Lazarus. I believe it was Abraham he was supposed to be talking to, and he wanted Abraham to send Lazarus back, and with the message that let his brothers know that yes, God does exist. He didn't want them to come to that same place, but his wish was declined because they had the testimony of the scriptures to tell them about God. And folks, that's the truth today too. We have the testimony of God's word, and we have our own personal testimony. That's why it's so important for us to be telling others. Now, you might not be able to go out about and do what you did when you were younger. I can't. Um, Going out in that hot sun for hours at a time, that doesn't would do me in. But there's different ways of witnessing. I carry around tracts with me now in my pocket, but I have them in my car. So if people are in my car, they have the access to those tracts. I have handed tracts out. I write books. I'm an author after all, and it includes the Christian worldview. I also write doctrinal books, which goes into greater depth. So we all have we have our different ways that we can do it, but we can and should be letting the world know about Christ and what he did. But liberals are embracing death, and it's a death spiral. It just seems to be increasing, not decreasing. And so that is a sad state. And I hate to leave it there at that point, but they are sealing their own fate, both as a city and individually. Now, individually, we can still reach them, but and there are churches, by the way, in New York City who preach the gospel. They are a light, if you will, on a hilltop, a beacon. And I don't know how successful they might be packed, but there's millions of people in New York City. And so hopefully they can bring revival to New York City. If you are a Christian and you are burdened for New York City, then keep praying for them, because that's the only hope they have. In fact, as far as that goes, it's the only hope America has, is to pray for America. Pray that we as a Christian nation will get right with God, Right now, we're still enjoying his blessings and his blessings upon this nation. But and I believe there is a revival starting. It's scattered across the United, not a united. It's not united, but there's scatterings of it throughout the country. And I think that there's a possibility that this is all coming together and it's going to be a nationwide revival. Will it be covered by the media? Well, not at first. Maybe might get big enough and powerful enough that they will be forced to cover it. But the thing is, that's not their agenda. That's not what they want to cover. But we have our own ways of finding things out. And the thing is that this revival, I think, can be spreading across the country. I know in my own church, I see our church is alive and on fire for God. And it's influencing other churches who are themselves on fire for God and reaching into their community. And so I see seeds of revival. But whether or not that revival will come together in a nationwide is still future. But I have hope. And I pray for that. And I pray that America, this may be America's last chance to do something that will resound in history. And we will truly, once again, be a Christian nation fully and on fire for God. How long will it last? I don't know. But I do believe this, that we are in the end times, or as some people say, we are in the end of the end times. And it's just a matter of time. It's when the rapture takes place. And then after that, you will see the tribulation. And we don't want that. We don't want, we can't stop that from happening. But we don't want anyone to have to go through it. And if you're a Christian, you will not go through the tribulation. Well, that's it for today. I always try to encourage you, inform you, inspire you. Those three things are what I always try to do. And don't forget, this is brought to you by T&R Independent Books. We're a Christian indie publisher, where we not only publish Christian books and Christian worldview books, but we also train people to write and publish Christian authors. If you're interested in getting your book published, then check us out. And if you want to learn how to write, check us out. Well, you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next episode.